Hi, I call presentation Ethereum. This means DeFi plus Ethereum because Ethereum was initially born on, DeFi was born on the Ethereum chain. Now it's expanding to other chains, other side chains, layer 2s, but it was born here, and most of the protocols I will discuss works on Ethereum and Ethereum compatible chains. So, yeah, let's start. Whole this presentation is about classification of existing protocols and how they differs from each other. So I found multiple categories like tokenization, which includes stable tokens, portfolio management, smart contracts, farmings, NFTs. Also exchanges category, which includes DEXes, actually order book based DEXes and liquidity-based DEXes, and some other kinds. Also money markets, also known as lending protocols, where users, they mutually fund each other, bridges, derivatives, and also aggregators, different aggregators, DEX aggregators, APY aggregators, bridges aggregators. So what happens with stable tokens, how it works? There are several types. There is a visualization for custodian, where some funds is locked in some custodian, like bank account or something, and the same amount or less is issued on chain as a ERC20 tokens. There are stable tokens to different assets like US dollars, euro, BTC, or gold, and also synthetic assets like as USD, as something. There are also kind of decentralized stable tokens where which use collateral exceeding amount of printed minted tokens, and this allows them to have like not use any custodian service. They works on oracles and have liquidations. One of such systems was MakerDAO, which allowed to print DAI stable token for ETH collateral, but now they support much more different collaterals. And there is one more case where collateral is on other chain. For example, Rapid BTC works like this. BTC is being locked on blockchain Bitcoin, and Wrap BTC ERC20 token is being minted by multi-sig on Ethereum. Also, part of tokenization is portfolios management projects. Some of them are instant rebalancing, like Uniswap version 1, version 2, Balancer, Power Pool, Curve. What they actually do, they keep your portfolio in balanced state. Every moment it's balanced, but when price moves, it's subject for arbitrage to get some profit and rebalance it. Some of projects, they have more complex rebalancing strategies like token sets and the Power Pool version 2. It's like mix of instant rebalancing and more complex rebalancing thing. And some of them also do this for diversification, like BTC++, USD++. Here are some order book based DEXs. First DEX was first well-known DEX was Ether Delta and its forks. It was well known for its off-chain orders. This means you can place limit order by providing signature-based order and do this without paying gas. But those who will try to fill your order, he will need to pass this order in arguments to the smart contract. Then Oasis app, the first versions of it was like the DEX, which was the only DEX who had on-chain orders, on-chain limit orders, and it was maintaining the sorted orders and allowed on-chain market orders on them. Also, 0x protocol, initially they had idea of different relayers, different subjects who were responsible for listing tokens and allowing this exchange of orders. But now they moved to peer-to-peer model and they share these orders with everyone. Also, AirSwap project, they were like RFQ system. Uh, you could use it as request for quote. You requested that you want to swap something, they could provide you an order, and you can partially fill it, you had to fill it fully. Also, Gnosis protocol, it's a kind of thing which allows users to place limit orders, but then what happened? Happened auction of solvers which perform settlement, so it do not provides any market order at all comparing to others. And 1-inch limit order protocol, we released it. We did a lot of gas optimizations comparing to others, and also we provided some additional features we needed, like conditional filling. It's like when someone will try to fill order, there is an arbitrary call which decides is it allowed to perform this order or not. It's allowed to build like a stop loss order or trailing stop loss order or something like this using this feature. And also we have an arbitrary price feature, so you can wrap any kind of auction here. You can wrap your Dutch auction, for example, where price is falling every second. You can wrap it in limit order, and arbitrage traders will easily fill it. Also, I'm going to show some visualization of liquidity-based DEXes here. The first of them was Banker in 2017. They built a kind of pools where there were two tokens, and all of them were pairs to BNT. And you were able to swap any token to any using middle token, BNT. You can swap DAI to Ether over BNT here. Later, Uniswap version 1 was released, and it was looking like much more simplified version of Bancor with Ether in the middle, and it became much more popular. Later, version 2 was launched. It allowed not only using Ether with token, but also token to token. And version 3 had significant differences. I did not visualize it here. Also, Balancer appeared. The interesting fact that Balancer and Uniswap, they works on the same formula. Balancer formula, Uniswap V2 and V1, I mean. Balancer formula is like generalized formula for arbitrary number of assets and arbitrary weights, where Uniswap is like a case of this formula where there are only two tokens and weights are equal. And yeah, you could think of Balancer as a multi-dimensional Uniswap. And Curve Finance is a project which found more interesting and more capital efficient curve for assets of the who are effectively stable tokens of the same assets, like stable tokens of DAI, of USD, stable tokens of Bitcoin. This solution is quite popular right now among different bridges because they bridge liquidity and have to swap to some kind of native assets and stable tokens on the target blockchain. There are few solutions which works as a complex rebalancing strategies like token sets and powerful V2. They do change proportions of portfolios on some different conditions. Yeah, this is a visualization of farming. So user have to put, it's farming of some liquidity protocol like Uniswap. You have to put your different assets into the liquidity pool and you would get rewards in the same assets. But if you would put your pooled liquidity into staking pool, like farming pool, you would also get extra farming reward on slide as staking reward. Yeah, but like an official naming of this process was farming. So this idea allowed money AMMs, automated market makers, liquidity-based DEXes, to attract more liquidity from users and stimulate this liquidity. This is what actually exploded the TVL of all the DeFi in 2020. Because first, this farming appeared in Synthetics protocol in the beginning of 2020. And also money markets. They could be used for borrowing, collateralized borrowing. You could provide Ether and borrow some stables of USD. You can do the opposite. You can also build leverage. You can have it on your own, or you can use any existing framework. And there is also lottery based on lending protocols, like lottery where you can't lose. That's how it looks like. There are different pools of different assets. And what you can do, you can collateralize your asset and get debt in another asset. So your position, cost of your position would be the subtraction of your collateral and your debt. And you have this debt on your hands, you can use it as you wish. But what you also can do, you can use these borrowed assets to swap them into collateral again and add collateral and borrow more. You can spin up your position to turn, for example, 1,000 bucks. You can turn it to 3K or bucks of Ether and 2K bucks of USDC debt. So you will still have 3K minus 2K, it's 1K, but now you have 3x exposure on asset. It's like 3x long Ether to USDC. And you can do the opposite. You can open long USDC to Ether, it will be short in Ether. So it's possible to spin up this position on your own using any lending protocol, but you can also utilize any leverage framework with flash loans to have it with one single swap inside instead of spinning up your position with multiple swaps and transactions. And the lottery idea was pretty simple. They just put all the funds into money market, earn extra interest, and they made they forward this interest to the winner. So they made lottery where winner gets interest. So you can deposit funds, participate in lottery, and then you can withdraw your funds. You can't lose here. So it's maybe the only positive cash flow lottery. And the aggregators of DEXes, the idea how they should work, how they worked initially, and how it works now. So the first idea was to just select the best price, find the best market. That's how early version of Kyber DEX initially was working. They had multiple different reserves, and they selected best of them on chain. But what 1inch did in 2019 on Hackathon, we came up to idea that the more you swap on each DEX, the worse is the rate. But if you would just split your volume among multiple DEXs, your exchange rate will be improved and you will get better rate. And it was like you could imagine this as glasses where height of each glass is price on this market and white of this glass is liquidity. So how it could happen, this is not really a good solution. This solution is much better. So when you swap on multiple markets, you shift the price to the same new price. This allows you to avoid any back running. So if you do aggregated swap and some back running happens, like fully on chain, someone earns on arbitrage, this means your aggregation was not successful. So successful aggregation means that there is no room for arbitrage right after your trade, for on-chain arbitrage. It could happen off-chain with other DEXs. But Actually, professional market makers connected to aggregators, they could also bridge centralized exchange liquidity. So if you're swapping like a huge amount of money and really moving the price on the market makers, they could also sell you from their reserves, and they will immediately hedge their position on other environments, like on centralized exchanges, other chains. So actually, you can shift price not only on one blockchain, but on other DEXes as well. And it was how it started, but how it's going now, the process of aggregation, it's actually a problem on a graph where nodes are different assets and edges are different DEXes, different pools. And what happens, you have to find the best multipath from one asset to another asset using some middle assets, and you have like a multi-edge graph. And some nodes of it are also dependent, like curve three pool, have three assets, and yeah, it's presented as multiple edges here, but yeah, they're dependent. It makes everything much more complex to find the best road. Yeah, that's how 1inch internally works.
So yeah, the question is simple. So right now, 1inch does aggregation across DEXs per chain. Do you see a future where 1inch does aggregation across multiple chains at once?
One? Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. I get it pretty frequently now. Yeah, everyone heard of cross-chain swaps, cross-chain aggregation, bridges aggregation, but I believe it's journey for a separate startup because what 1inch have it's fully atomic aggregation and it provides extra security layer in own smart contracts. But what you would have if you have like a aggregate cross-chain, not all bridges are equal. It's hard to aggregate them. You have to describe users how they differ from each other, and users should decide because sometimes the time of bridging is more preferable. Sometimes the reliability of bridging is more preferable. If amount is pretty high, you can wait for hours, but it should be safe for you. And cross-chain swaps, what I actually said, we have all on 1inch all the liquidity from other chains and centralized exchanges, and using private market makers and their competition to each other, it's getting better and better, and it's still atomic for users. This is really important. But if you would try to build some cross-chain aggregator, it would be insanely complex, and your funds can be stuck in some middle assets. Like if you're swapping ERC20 on one chain to ERC20 in another chain, probably you have to swap it in some middle asset like coin, like BNB or Ether, for example, in the middle. But you could stack in this asset. Just imagine you are swapping USDC from one blockchain to another blockchain, and you got stuck in Ether for 20 minutes. It's too volatile for you. You can have unexpected losses here. It's like a lottery. So yeah, this is like a really complex question, and it's a journey for a separate startup, I believe. We have a grants program, 1inch. So if you are building something like this, yeah, come to us, apply, and let's talk. Yeah, thank you.